Hi everyone. Good morning, evening, and afternoon, wherever you are. So nice to meet you, and I think this is amazing synergy we have, OxyTap and Prife, and basically we are going to revolutionize the health industry. I mean, I see a vision at end of the day where we don't have to have a reliant on medicines. We don't have to have a reliant on drugs, but natural energy giving products. And these are things which it's not rock science fiction, but it's happening now today. And I'm going to share briefly on the product and what it does, and to give you a differentiating factor of what you have known before and what OxyTap brings to the market or brings to the world today. Yeah, can I share screen? Let me see.
Yes, you should be able to.
Great. Can you see this? Okay. So basically, we are looking at taking oxygen and water to promote healing for human health, right? So we are the world's first oxygen nutrition infuser. We are differentiating from ourselves from water purifiers. We are not a water purifier, right? We use water as a means of delivering high oxygen in your body system. And we are also not exactly oxygenated water, because oxygenated water, when you oxygenate it from the factory, and all the world's oxygen water is produced in the factory today, the moment you start oxygenating it, oxygen starts to leave the water. Ours is a system that when you oxygenate it, it's the highest in the world, and you can even concentrate different concentrations of oxygen dosages, which has different applications. Yeah. So let me just run through the presentation. Mr. Rashid has done a wonderful introduction of myself. I shall skip this. What we have here is the rules of three for human survivability. A human survives 3 weeks without food. Many of you can't survive 24 hours without food, but generally, a human survives 3 weeks without food. A human survives 3 days without food. No, sorry, water. 3 days without water. But a human can only survive 3 minutes without oxygen. So you notice food, water, and oxygen. These are the 3 key elements of survivability. And in OxyTap, we handle 2. What we are speaking here today, or what OxyTap is trying to address today, we are trying to show you that there is an oxygen pandemic in the world happening today, right? Oxygen, when it first started in the world, was very high. It was probably, when the world started, was probably 30% of oxygen in the air. Unfortunately, with greenhouse gases and pollution, oxygen is depleting over time. So right now we have 21% oxygen in the air, but that is in a natural space. If you're in a confined space, you're in a home, you're in an office space where there are many other humans competing for oxygen, your oxygen levels will drop, right? And this chart also shows that since 1992 till 2020, the oxygen levels have depleted over the years. Even the Chinese university has warned that there is a declining oxygen levels in large cities worldwide, right? They've done studies, and they saw that as long as you're living in a city, and most of us are, especially in Singapore, different places of congestion, build-up areas, oxygens are even lesser. What's more, I'm sure all of us know this by now, lack of oxygen due to the COVID pandemic. Many of you don't realize that when COVID hits you, hits your lung, your air sacs get infected, right? And slowly it begins to fill up with your mucus, and you're literally drowning on dry land, right? And these are issues which surround this would be low oxygen in your body. And low oxygen in your body gives rise to this. So those who have gone through COVID, I'm not sure how many of you gone through. I think 99% of the world has gotten COVID, and now it's just different levels of COVID. They've gotten once, twice, 3 times. Singapore is going through a resurgence of COVID also. We are living in a post-COVID world, and many of us are suffering from this, right? Long COVID is linked to low oxygen. Because your lung is infected, your lung is the only way which oxygen enters your system. And if it is infected by the virus, oxygen level drops. Your recovery rate, I'm not sure whether you realize that, but when you fall sick now, you recover slower. You don't come back to your normal self as fast as in the past before COVID. And even in sports, when you play sports, if you run, you realize that you are breathless easier because of the scarring of the virus, which has done harm in your body, in your lung. So these are all the things you will experience. And there are a few times after this presentation, many of the listeners say, yeah, I have this, suddenly I have anxiety, I have depression, all during this period, right? And some says that I have fatigue, I get more frequent fatigue, or suddenly I have joint aches, because it's all linked to long COVID. And long COVID, the very root of it is low oxygen. Even when you are aging, oxygen begin to deplete in your body. Your cell cannot absorb oxygen as per when you were younger. So when you do that, you begin to have a depletion in your health, deceleration in your mobility, your brain absorption, and then going into early dementia if your oxygen depletes. Just an example, lack of oxygen in the brain. If you have no oxygen in your brain, 30 seconds, you lose consciousness. So, when people do a choking, right? People just fall asleep after 30 seconds because you lose consciousness. 1 minute, brain cells begin to die. 3 minutes gives you lasting brain damage. 5 minutes, most die, right? And 10 minutes, lasting brain damage. And after 15 minutes, there's really no chance of survival. So that's how critical oxygen is to our human health and wellness. What are we talking about, really? We're talking about tissue hypoxia. This thing, tissue hypoxia, the root cause is low oxygen. So when we refer to low oxygen in the body, we're talking about hypoxia. And hypoxia is the root of 60% of the sicknesses and diseases worldwide. And like I said earlier, aging is the main cause. Stress, you don't breathe enough, pollution and COVID now, diseases, diabetes, COVID, smoker's lung, blood disorder. This will all lead to low oxygen in your body. And why is oxygen so needed in our body, right? In all our body, we have cells, and in our cell, we have this thing called mitochondria. Mitochondria is like your car engine, and it gives you energy. So ATP is energy. So just imagine mitochondria is your car engine, which needs fuel and air to give you combustion. So ATP is like your combustion, right? The mitochondria needs glucose and oxygen to give you ATP. So glucose, we get anywhere through food, the sugar we drink, we get glucose in our cell. However, when we are getting lesser oxygen, the lesser oxygen we get, we do not produce enough ATP because there's not enough oxygen. So the glucose level goes up, energy level drops. However, if you have enough oxygen in your body, this is your energy level. So you see the difference? 32 ATP is your acceleration. You have the power to generate your vehicle. But if you have low oxygen, you only have 2 ATP. So on days where you're feeling very lethargic or tired, this is a huge difference, 32 and 2 ATP, right? So you need that extra boost in your body, which is oxygen. So why is this energy or ATP needed in cells, right? Is to carry out normal cell functions, is to cause repair of cell after injury. Okay, by the way, if you are having diabetics, your body is very low in oxygen. And that's why many of them, in these extreme cases of diabetes, they actually can't heal. When they have a cut, the skin do not heal. It doesn't repair. The cell doesn't repair it. So it gets worse and worse, and you have to amputate that feet. And it keeps the cell young and alive, just like Mr. Noor Rashid, keeping him young and alive and still producing grandchildren. Fight infections. In this time and age for COVID, right? You don't want to catch COVID in this season, right? And also, it removes cancerous cell. Oxygen removes cancerous cell. Let me explain to you why it does that. Dr. Otto Warburg, which is a biologist and a Nobel Prize winner in medicine, he's the founder of cancer. He discovered cancer, and he says that when cells has no oxygen to use, cells can turn cancerous, right? All normal cells have a requirement for oxygen, but cancer cells can live without oxygen, right? So this is a rule without exception, which means why cancer cells form in the first place. Cancer cells form of a varied reasons, but one of the primary reasons is because of the lowest oxygen in your organs, those organs which has very hypoxic, that's when the cell mutate into cancer cells. So when you see a doctor and the doctor tests your blood and say, hey, you have a very high cancer marker, the very fact that you have a high cancer marker is because you are low in oxygen, right? You're very hypoxic. That's why you become cancerous. However, the doctor will tell you, say, look here, you need to go for a certain chemotherapy. And then chemotherapy comes, and because your cell is already very weak because of the low oxygen, the chemotherapy, which is poison, goes through your body. All your normal cells will die because it's already very weak. But the cancer cells will be the strongest because of its low oxygen environment in your body, and the chemotherapy will not affect that, right? So we have quite a number of clients who are cancer patients who drink oxygen to increase the oxygen level in their body, and that when chemotherapy, when they go through that, right, the cancer cell, the regular cells are strengthened. They are not affected by the chemo, and the cancer which is in their body is weakened because of the oxygen environment in the body. And then the chemo or whatever traditional methods or natural methods of cancer solution you're doing for your body, it would work better. You see, even drinking water has low oxygen. So just imagine, I shared earlier, the world is depleting of oxygen. Our bodies as we age are depleting of oxygen. Pandemic like COVID is reducing oxygen in our body. Even the water we drink, right? Singapore is one of the largest consumer of bottled water in the world. Even the bottled water we drink or water we drink has very low oxygen. And we can measure that, right? What is fresh water? Fresh water is in the range of 8 to 20 parts per million of dissolved oxygen. So think of dissolved oxygen in water. The highest is 20, the lowest is 8. And that is the range of natural water. If you don't fall between 8 to 20 parts per million of oxygen, you are not considered as fresh, right? Oxygen is so-called dissolved in surface water due to the aeration action of wind, waterfalls, fast-moving stream, and also the process of aquatic plants and photosynthesis. If you look in the supermarket today, you look at all the shelf, which is the freshest? All of the brands, shelf life is 2 years from date of manufacture. And especially in the US, right? Brands like Nestle, they're very big. They're in office, water coolers, water dispensers, they're everywhere, right? The more you keep them in storage, the longer you take them out from a fresh source, the lesser oxygen you're going to have in the water. So dissolved oxygen leaves the bottle once you bottle from source. After 8 to 12 months, the oxygen in the bottle water is less than tap water. Low oxygen in the water make the water unhealthy and stale. So none of this is fresh. So the whole world is drinking stale water and unhealthy water. So as we mentioned earlier, natural water, let me see what I can. Natural water is 8 to 20. This is a fresh source, right? When you bottle, let's say Evian from France, it could be 9 to 10. By the time they ship it to you, it would have dropped to about 7 or 6. By the time you consume it, it would have been maybe 5, right? And also everywhere in the world, tap water is at this range. So just imagine we are a far cry from fresh water, which is 8 to 20. And most of our homes, right, has filters. Even Kangen, the better your filter is, the lesser oxygen you're going to get. So it's some of the best filter is about 2 to 1.5 parts per million, right? And where's the solution to this? Where is the solution in the world where you can increase oxygen in the water to rival natural water? Only at OxyTap in the world. We are able to take all this water quality and so-called infusing our oxygen elements into it to increase to 25. And like I said earlier, we can concentrate it even higher to 30 to 35 to 45, depending on the requirements you need, because you are able to deliver high oxygen dosages for different applications. So just a recap, this, by the way, it's oxygen meter, all right? In our field as an engineer, what we say, we have to back up with science, right? So we take industrial meter, which measures oxygen in water. Okay, so by the way, all this bottle is freshly purchased from the supermarket, which means it's like just produced like less than 3 weeks from manufacture. So it's very high. And even at the highest, 7.41, it's still lower than natural water level. Fiji water is about 7.73. Volvic is about 8. Dasani is about 7. And this is OxyTap. One press is 26.7. There's no comparison in the world in terms of freshness and high oxygen. If you look at that, Evian, Fiji, Volvic, Dasani, and OxyTap. And this is only one press. We can even go higher than this. So we're solving the oxygen crisis with oxygen supplement water, and this is our technology. We're able to refresh, re-energize, and revitalize. We are regenerative in nature, which means there isn't a need to provide oxygen tank, not like a soda stream. We are generating oxygen from water itself. We split hydrogen and oxygen from water, which is H2O. We filter out hydrogen and we keep oxygen in the system, and that pure oxygen element is remixed back into the supplied water you give it. And we have many applications. What I always equate OxyTap as is it's the iOS, right? It's like the operating system of your iPhone or your Android phone. And there are many applications you can put on top. So the applications could be eye TerraCare. It makes eye TerraCare better, right? You can put in supplements. It makes your supplements absorption better. Even if you take medication, the medication gets absorbed and the efficacy is better. So we have multi-applications surrounding it, using oxygen as a base. And primarily, we are a factory in a box. Today, all bottled oxygen water has to be manufactured in a factory. We move the factory to your tabletop. So what we do, we are a fast generator of high oxygen in just 3 minutes. A single shot of oxygen is 3 minutes. What I mean by single shot is one press. One press, it oxygenates 3 minutes, and that's a single shot. We can go up to 2 to 3 shots. Like I said, one shot, we refresh. It's called refresh mode. It refreshes water to slightly higher than natural water level, the highest in the world. 2 shots is like a double shot of espresso. It gives you a natural energy drink without the caffeine. 3 shots is revitalize. Basically, if you are feeling that you're going to fall sick, you got a flu coming, or you're people who have diabetics or cancer, you do 3 shots of oxygen and you let them drink. This will boost or lower the hypoxic effect and counter the the whatever, it increases the cell metabolism and energy to counter the sicknesses. The other thing is it self-generates, like I mentioned earlier, it self-generates pure oxygen from the supplied water itself. But the key thing is it stabilizes high concentration of dissolved oxygen in water, right? It's no point oxygenating something and you can't bring it along the whole day out to your gym, to work, to school. We oxygenate, we stabilize it, it lasts high and long, 24 hours. And then if you keep it in the fridge, it lasts more than a week, right? So we are very high, we are long lasting, and the key thing is consistently high. We are able to generate very consistent high oxygen. The rest of the world, when it's in a bottle from a factory, oxygen starts to deplete the moment you start capping the water. Once you release from factory, oxygen starts to deplete. And importantly, we do not alter the structure of the water, which means today, if you are an avid Kangen drinker and say, I love my alkaline, my high pH, we do not disrupt your alkalinity. We don't change the pH level. We in fact complement it. So today we have a product which don't compete in the water market space or the water purifier space, but in fact, it complements it very well. So if you are involved in Kangen previously and you sold to many Kangen clients, this is a very good complementary product that you can even use a meter and test. Kangen water's oxygen level is very low. Now, after Kangen, we can oxygenate it. You still maintain its high pH alkalinity, but with high oxygen now. So it now becomes the only product in the world which can complement any water purifier supplier or products, because all filtered water reduces oxygen in the world today. Ours is the only one which increases it. So these are some of the things people said, hey, if you, I'm sure many of you would have Googled, right? Oh, oxygen, water, that it's nobody can drink oxygen. Drinking oxygen will not increase in your blood. I'm sure you have many burning questions like that. And when you Google, right, more and more of the naysayers will say, hey, it doesn't work, it's a scam and all that. It is true, oxygen, water is a scam. Okay, it's been there for many years, but because they do not have the ability to keep high oxygen in the water, because all of them had to be manufactured in the factory. They cannot bring the factory to you at source when you give it high oxygen and keep the consistency of the high oxygen in the water, that when you drink it, it brings that power of oxygen in your body system. So whatever you have heard about oxygen water, it's true, it's a scam, but we are not oxygen water. We are oxygen nutrition. We are oxygen supplement. When you drink it at our high concentration, which is one of the highest in the world, it will begin to show oxygen entering your bloodstream, blood oxygen. Let me show you. This is one of the reading we have done in one of our roadshow. This is a lady. She's in her 80s. Okay, she just drank our water. And just a few sips, right? It's not like even half a cup. It's less than half a cup of water. Her initial reading using a regular oximeter was 94. So the older you are, your oxygen level is low. So old folks, if you have any aged parents, you want to prevent dementia, you want to prevent Alzheimer's, start giving them our oxygen supplement. Initial reading is 94.7. After 15 seconds of drinking, it goes up to 98. And within that few seconds, it's still increasing, 99.71, 99.73. There is no supplement in the world, just by taking it orally, would give you 5% increase in your blood oxygen in 10 to 15 seconds. There's none. This lady was from Rwanda. She came to my office and one of my customers said, hey, can you help her? I said, does she have pain in her body? They said, no, she doesn't have. She has a numbness of her leg for 3 years. After COVID, she had COVID, she lost the feeling of her right leg, and her right leg totally didn't have any strength, right? Let me see. After drinking it, it helped her regain the strength. The blood, she could feel the blood flow going back to her right thigh. And after about 5 to 10 minutes, different people has different reactions. So after 5 to 10 minutes, she got her feeling right back, and then she began to have strength back into her leg. She can't do this, yeah. Her right leg. Yeah. We just came back from Berlin. This was in IFA 2023, and we help people relieve their pain also in the exhibition. And some of them had pain for 8 years, neck pain, like this middle lady here, and we help her relieve that. And the one on the right has a pain on the shoulder. 1 out of 10 is 8 for a few months already, and we helped him relieve that pain with oxygen. This is also from our roadshow. It's a 90-year-old elderly. You know, one of the symptoms of low oxygen in your body is dizziness. If you sit down and you stand up, you get dizzy. So this old man, he's 90 years old. He has high blood pressure. He sits down and he stands up. He's very dizzy. After drinking OxyTap for the first time, he stood up. There wasn't any dizziness. So he drank OxyTap for 1 week. And when he went to see the doctor took him off his high blood medication. He was so thankful that he came to the shopping center where we were doing our road shows, and he brought his family to thank us, you know, for so-called solving his high blood pressure medication. And after another week, he brought his younger sister who was celebrating her 80th birthday, and made them sit in front of me to present the product, and they bought the machine also. So a lot of customers, after seeing the effects, would begin to introduce more and more customers to you. So it's a very natural, crowd puller when people begin to see the effect. By the way, as I mentioned earlier, because of the naysayers in the market who says that oxygen cannot be absorbed in your body by drinking, we have also done another test in Israel. This is called what we did was this one. You see the meter, which is wait, let me pull this meter here. So what we showed earlier was an oximeter. Oximeter measures particles in your blood with light by just clipping on your finger. But this one is called a tissue oxygen meter. What this tissue oxygen meter does, it is putting or measuring on your skin. That means oxygen from your blood entering your skin tissue. Why is this important? Because where they use this is when they are testing for diabetic foot ulcer, whether if the feet has turned black, right, which means it's already gangrene stage, the tissues are dying. They want to see where did the tissue die and where the tissue is still living. So they measure the feet with this meter. If the tissue is dead, they will amputate from that downwards, right? So this is very important because we want to measure that when you drink our OxyTap supplements, it should show up in your tissue. The meter should show up in your tissue that there's some reading. And what we did is this meter has 4 probes. 1 to the heart, 1 to the left hand, 1 to the right hand, and 1 to the left feet. Why do we do this? Because we want to measure from the heart and going to the extremities of your body, the left hand, right hand, and the left leg. So this was the reading. If you can see, the first one is the baseline, where for 10 minutes, we measured only by breathing. That means you sit down, you breathe, don't do anything, we measure you. And this is the left heart area, this column, and the left-hand column, right-hand column, and the left leg column. This SpO2, it's the finger meter, this one here. It measures this part here. It's the same like the oximeter. And then it measures the heart rate. So 10 minutes, no water. After that, 10 minutes of, okay, just to backtrack, baseline, now the trend, if you're into biohacking and into longevity and prolonging your life, you would realize that there is a new method called Wim Hof method. Wim Hof method teaches you deep breathing. Of course, Chinese over the years have been teaching you Qigong, right? Breathing, deep breathing. Yoga is also into breathing. But when you do that and you measure your oxygen level, it's not as high as if you drink our water. You can do that all the time, but you cannot see very significant increase in your blood oxygen. Only OxyTap allows you to do that. So that's why we did a baseline with no water, just by breathing. And then the second one is drinking water, just regular water, and we measure it. 200 ml, 10 minutes, normal water we drink and we measure. So we set that as a baseline. Then we started putting OxyTap water, 200 ml, 10 minutes we drink, 200 ml, and then finally 500 ml. And we could see on the heart, the probe which on the heart, the oxygen level, which is reflected on the tissue in the heart area, went up 48.1%. This is unheard of. Nobody can do this, right? Just by drinking. Left hand went up to 18%, right hand went up 22%, and the left leg went up to 10.6%. By increasing 10%, it will reverse your diabetic foot ulcer condition, which means we have customers whose feet was supposed to be amputated because of diabetes. And after 6 months of drinking, the condition was reversed. And we saved their leg. So this is proof, right? This is proof that oxygen, through our such high concentration of delivery in water, will make a significant change in your tissue oxygenation. And this is using high-tech equipment or testing equipment to do that. For a simpler way, you can use the oximeter, right? Even Apple Watch and your Garmin watch, you can measure it. And many a times, if you start off and you're measuring at 94 and you drink our oxygen water, your Apple Watch will register that it's unable to measure because it exceeds 99. It goes up to 100%, and the Apple Watch cannot do that. You can try that when you have the machine. Even for diabetes, right now the trend is having this patch on your skin, which is what they call a freestyle liber. This measures blood sugar from your body, and it tracks you 24 hours, and then you actually upload to the cloud. This was also taken in Israel. 70-year-old man with diabetes. He's under strict diet. He controls his diet very well. And he also takes minimal support medication. But unfortunately, he's old, right? And like I said earlier, when you're old, you're hypoxic, your oxygen is low. And because you have low oxygen, diabetes is also there. So this is one of the factors in diabetes, in old age. He has that meter. He's been tracking himself for the last 12 days, and his sugar level is high. After we introduced OxyTap here, his sugar level dropped. And we take back OxyTap from him, his sugar level went up again. So just by drinking OxyTap, his blood sugar went down to 10 to 11%. This was done, this is another oxygen water system, which was done testing on Monash University. This is the rats. We took 10 mice, each injected with human prostate cancer. This is to prove that oxygen water helps in cancer, right? Human prostate cancer. After 9 days of drinking oxygen water, we inject a dye to measure the cancer growth. And then another 9 days of drinking tap water, we inject a dye and we measure the growth. Look on the right side, the mice which are drinking tap water, the cancer cells grew. The one on the left, is regular oxygen water, the cancer cell is lesser. Don't progress so fast. If they were to test with our water, our supplement, ours is at least 3 times more effective than this. The cancer cell grew. If you're drinking tap water, drinking oxygen water, the cancer cell is not as high. The one on the right is drinking tap water. It grew and swelled and became inflamed. The one which is oxygen water, the cancer cell didn't grow that well. Also control. This is the tap water, the signal or the activeness of the cancer or the aggressiveness of the cancer was higher, and then this regular oxygen water is not so aggressive. So people say, hey, I'm not sick. I do not have cancer. I'm young. Why do I need this, right? This oxygen is right now the best sports supplement naturally available for you, because what we are trying to solve. When you exercise, we need to consume oxygen because you consume more oxygen when you exercise, right? And because you consume more oxygen, your body cannot produce enough or cannot absorb enough oxygen to counter the energy you require. So it simulates the oxygen by going into from an aerobic to an anaerobic metabolism, which gives you high lactic acid. And this is the one that when it accumulates in your muscle, you get fatigue or cramp. So this one on the left is your lactic acid production. This is your intensity below of your exercise. So the more you push yourself, the more lactic acid will increase in your body. So remember, lactic acid is the one which gives you the pain and the cramp. It makes your whole leg feel like lead, right? So the more you push yourself, it keeps on going up. Even after your training, reduction of that lactic acid can take, for some people, it can take days. So for days, you'll be feeling that pain in your body or aches in your body. So when you drink oxygen water, it increases effectiveness or hydration to the muscles. Because it's able to increase the hydration of the muscle, it reduces lactic acid accumulation and it improves post-race recovery. So this is similar for athletes who are running marathon, cycling. You have a greater endurance and intensity. So if you drink oxygen water while you're training, you will notice a red line. You do not produce that much lactic acid and you recover faster. So when you do a fast run, the lungs and blood circulation are unable to deliver oxygen to the muscles quickly enough. So you go into anaerobic metabolism, lactic acid is produced, and that's where you get fatigue. However, if you are consuming oxygen supplement, you can do a fast run. The muscles are able to utilize oxygen better in the contraction process. You go into aerobic metabolism, you produce less lactic, and the recovery of muscles are much better. So we did an experiment using rats. We did one group of rats which were drinking only water. This group only drank, the left group drank oxygen water. The right group drank tap water. After 7 days, what we did was, like I mentioned, oxygen is carried through blood. So if you remove all the blood, like a vampire, you basically your muscle begin to produce lactic acid. So we removed all their blood, and you realize the one which is drinking regular water, their lactic acid produce a lot in their blood or in their body system. And those who are drinking oxygen water, the lactic acid is not so high. So, okay, we're almost to the end of the talk. I just want to give you a brief examples of some of the potential applications where OxyTap can be positioned into. This is This is one of the issue which is very common in the world. Hangover. Well, you know, most of us like our drinks, right? And coming Christmas, many of you will be partying and having a lots of drinks. Remember to drink OxyTap or oxygen water, because when you drink any alcohol from beer to wine to whiskey, a chemical called acetaldehyde is produced in your blood. This chemical enters your bloodstream and it affects your liver. It also gives you hangover the next day. This chemical can only be removed or decomposed through oxidation, which is only oxygen can remove this naturally. So before your party, drink OxyTap. During your party, you drink sips of OxyTap. You can hold your liquor better. You will not get hangover the next day. So this is proven clinical trials. It also helps you in sports and gyms, as we discussed earlier. Schools, office, and gaming resorts. Why? Because when you concentrate, like most of you are concentrating and listening to this talk right now, your brain is consuming 20 to 30% from your body, right? That's why some of you may feel lethargic or tired, because your brain is consuming oxygen from your body. So when you drink OxyTap, it helps you study better, longer, and in offices, you don't get so lethargic. You know, after lunch, you can actually have a better productivity in office. So we've been targeting office pantries and stuff like that. Gaming resorts is huge, right? We have been to CES in 2020. This January, we'll be in CES again, Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. And if you go to the Las Vegas trips, you will see oxygen bar. They are actually selling oxygen bar for you to breathe oxygen. So gaming resorts, it's very good. Why oxygen in gaming resorts? Some gaming resorts are also pumping oxygen in their gaming rooms. This is to make people more alert, so they would gamble more. They won't go home and sleep, right? And of course, beauty, wellness, and health spa. So like we mentioned earlier, oxygen is the only one which improves cellular skin regeneration. Of course, coupled with iTerra Care, this is a fantastic product. For beautiful skin, it accelerates healing, slows aging, reduces line and wrinkles, promotes beautiful skin, increases moisture to skin, and clarifies skin. And also for weight loss, oxygen helps increase your metabolism. We have customers when we sell it to the officers in the pantry. When we sold it in 3 months' time, we got repeat orders of about six new customers from that office, because when they started drinking, some of them lost weight. One customer lost 5 kg just by drinking oxygen, because it increases the metabolism in their body. It removes waste from your body, and you replace sugary drinks. Drink more oxygen water, necessary for fat burning. And oxygen water helps in digestion. How does it help? Our gut is made up of bacteria, right? So good bacteria, which is called the aerobic bacteria, consumes a lot of oxygen. So the more oxygen you give it, if you take your probiotics, you take your prebiotics, it's going to activate the good bacteria, gut bacteria, even better. Like I said, prevents pain and disease. How it does that is, pain is caused by inflammation. When you drink oxygen water, it enters your bloodstream at high oxygen, and the high oxygen will reach those parts which is flowing in the blood and bring down the inflammation which is causing pain.